Hey yo, welcome back to this week's video. I'm sorry to upload last week. I just kind of had a lot going on and I just kind of it went past me that I had to upload. So I'm sorry about that, but this week you will be getting a video and that's positive. But some weeks I might skip a little bit because I have a lot going on, but I'll try to post every week if I can. But yeah, this today we're just gonna be having a little story time about basically just how I came out and my coming out story. And oh my gosh, my hair is whack today, but I don't really care. But anyways, yeah, it's just been a lot going on. And also, how am I getting 256 views on my videos but I only have 140 subscribers? Y'all are being fake. Why? But also, let me know in the comments down below if you guys like the microphone, because I can't tell if I do or not, but y'all should let me know, so just comment down below. And also, y'all voted on this for my coming out story, and if y'all haven't added my Snapchat or Instagram, I'll put them on the screen now, so y'all can go follow those, and my TikTok. I don't really post on there as much as I would like, because I just don't know really what to post, but I'll get back onto that. And yeah, so we're just gonna be talking about my coming out story basically, and I'll try not to get emotional. I might a little, but that's life. But I'm probably not gonna cry. I'll probably just take a minute or something. But yeah, and this is also gonna be like a video that I'm not gonna edit, but because I want it to be as raw and real as possible. But yeah, so basically, we're just gonna start all the way back to the beginning. All the way back to the beginning. To elementary school. So in elementary school, it was all normal. Like, I feel like a lot of gay people don't realize they're gay until middle school, high school, later on. Some do in elementary school though, and that's perfectly fine. But I was not one of those people. So in fifth grade, I got my phone and I started Snapchatting people and just all that. And then we had, oh wait, no, wait, no, yeah, we had sixth grade. And then sixth grade, I came out as bi, but I feel like for some reason a lot of people at my school did. It was kind of strange, but it happened. There was no bullying or anything about that because a lot of people did, and it was just all normal and stuff. So basically, and then it was normal. I had a lot of guy friends. I had a lot of guy friends in sixth grade, and I had this one really close guy friend. And then we were friends for a while. We hung out a lot and stuff like that. But then in seventh grade, you know, I started um like meeting people and exploring myself more. And I realized that I actually didn't like girls. Oh my gosh, you know what's funny, y'all? I dated my best friend in sixth grade. It's so funny. But shout out to Callie. Yeah, we dated for 2 days. I know, crazy, right? It was a really long time. But yeah. And then in seventh grade, I realized I was gay. And I told my brother's ex-girlfriend. Her name is Stacy. Bless her soul. She is the kindest person I've ever met in my whole life. And literally love her so much. I can't even explain how much she helps me through my whole grade. Not my grade, my whole life in seventh grade and sixth grade even, I think a little bit. I'm not quite sure if I came out to her in sixth grade or in seventh grade, but I'm pretty sure it was seventh grade. But then in seventh grade's when it all kind of went. Okay, I told a few people, like I said, and let's just say the people I told, they weren't as open and quiet about things like how I thought they were gonna be. I'm not gonna say names, but I'm pretty sure I know who told on a bunch of people. And then people started coming up to me, being like, "Are you gay?" I'd be like, "Yep, I am," because it was me. I'm not gonna deny myself to people. I'm not gonna say no, because I thought it was perfectly fine, me expressing myself, me being myself. I was born this way. And then it kind of started going down because in seventh grade, I started getting bullied a little bit, but it wasn't like anything like serious. Like, it was just like, oh, he's gay. He has a bunch of girlfriends. He's gay, he's gay, he's gay. I was just like, okay, y'all thought you ate. But, anyways, and it was just like that. I maybe got called the F slur a few times in there, but I do live in a very, let's say, homophobic state, if I don't say so myself. I do have a lot of people that like me for who I am, but there's also a lot of people who don't support. And, I feel like that's everywhere, but some places are more than others. I also kind of go to, like, not a huge school. I'm not going to say what school I go to because that'd be kind of weird. But I don't go to a huge school, so when I told those few people, it got around fast. Like, it wasn't like some, like, small little thing. Like, no, it got around so fast. Like, y'all, it was insane. But then I got bullied a little bit. And then, sorry, y'all. Then in eighth grade's when a lot of problems started. So basically, in eighth grade, I had this one kid. He knows who he is, and he's just really homophobic for no reason, and he literally hated me for no reason. But in eighth grade, I was like fully out. Not okay, y'all. So when I say came out, I did not come out to my parents yet. Like, I came out to people at my school. And that brought a lot of fear over me because it was like, what if I see these people out in public and they're like, oh my gosh, that's the gay kid, and I'm with my mom. Like, there was so much fear and anxiety in me because I told people at my school. Like, but I wanted to express myself. But like, I was still so scared that if I went out in public with like my mom or something, people would be like, oh my gosh, that's a gay kid, that's the gay kid. And like, I was so scared. And one time, I think it was in seventh grade, I went to a play at my school. I went to a play at my school, and there was these people behind me. Oh my God, there's someone. But there was these people behind me or whatever, and I was with my mom and my dad, and they were talking. And like, they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's the gay kid." Like, I just played it off. I was like, "Oh, they're talking about the person on the stage. They're talking about the person on the stage, not me." And then my mom was like, "Oh, okay." Like, she had no clue. I don't really understand how they had no clue. Like, they definitely had their suspicions, but I just don't get how they had no clue that I was. But, that happened in, I think, seventh grade still. We're still in seventh grade. And then, like I said, eighth grade came. I keep going back and forth. I'm sorry, y'all. Then eighth grade came. It was good. I was getting closer with my best friend, which was literally amazing. I had a lot of friends, because it was middle school. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's like trying to find their little click, where the click, whatever. They're trying to find their little click where they fit in at, where they should be. And, everyone's just friends. And, then there was my eighth grade art class, I think, or yeah, I hate the teacher in that class. But anyways, this kid, well, this actually happened many times in many different classes. But there was this one time where the chair fell over, right? I was like, oh my gosh, the chair fell over. And like, we were laughing because someone flipped over. And then one of these kids had the audacity to be like, I bet you'd like it if that chair was in you. That is disgusting, first off. And no, you thought you were funny, but you weren't. And that's when I realized that my sister's in the hallway. That's when I realized that, like, people don't like me. Like, people like me, but a lot of people don't. And that's when, after that incident, I went to, not like a counselor or anything, y'all. I went to my math teacher because she was so sweet and everything. I would just go to her class during study hall and stuff, and we would talk. And then in our class, I'd make these things that said like "love is love" because I was expressing myself, and they had rainbows and stuff. And I'd hang up a, I would, oh my gosh, I would hang them up in my locker. And then there was this one time where the kid just came into, was walking down the hallway, and he like came to my locker and just ripped it all down. He ripped it all down, and he just called me the F slur and just ripped it all down. And I was like, so I told the math teacher, right? Because like, you know, and she literally didn't do anything. And that's when I kind of realized teachers don't care about us. Because how am I gonna come to you about this? And you're like, oh, there's nothing I can really do about that. Girl, what? Girl, you're supposed to be there for me. But yeah, and then that kid, he kind of went away because I didn't have any like classes with him. But he was the main bully throughout like me coming out and everything. And then I think was it my freshman or eighth grade year? Oh my gosh, I have to think, y'all. Okay, so that was like all like middle school stuff. Like it happened a few times. There was a few incidences where I was like made fun of and stuff. But then like I'm trying to think of when I came out to my parents. Oh, by the way, y'all, everyone else in my family knew but my parents. Like my siblings knew and everything, but my parents didn't. Like my sister and my younger brother knew, but my parents didn't know. And it was like I was like waiting so long to try to come out to them, and like I just never got the courage to do it. So I had this boyfriend. Um, it was freshman year because that's all that happened in middle school. It was freshman year. I had this boyfriend. I'm not gonna name his name because he's a little narcissistic, little manipulative, little word. And throughout, okay, and then we'll just go from there. So then my parents were like, "Oh, this is kind of weird. He's coming over a lot. Like, you guys both aren't just friends." So then one night, it was like around Thanksgiving time. He was over, and let's think. I'm gonna try to say this, but I'm not gonna like. I didn't think of how to say this, but my parents kind of came downstairs and they were like talking. They went to my sister's room to go talk to my sister, whatever. And then I don't really know how this happened. The next thing you know, they're calling me upstairs, okay? And no, I think they came downstairs and me and him were like cuddling or whatever, which like, but whatever. And then I think they called me up, or my mom came downstairs to come get me and bring me up to their room. And then they're like, oh, whoa, that starter's crazy. And then they like asked me, they're like, are you, like, are you and him just friends, or are you two like dating? And I was like, I started crying. I did not get a word out. Um, so, and then my mom like was like, "Are you gay?" And I was like, I didn't answer because why would I? I just started nonstop crying. Like it was bad. Like it was just straight tears. I don't know if it was like horror or something, but I just started crying and crying and crying and crying. That happened, and then they were like, "Well, you should probably tell him to go home." And then I told him that he had to go home, and then we weren't allowed to see each other for a while. I don't really know why, really, but I think it was because they were just trying to like figure out like everything. But I kind of get their point because we were in my room alone a lot, but we didn't do anything like that. And it was just like I think they were trying to figure out like how to like I don't know, not to deal with it, but like how to like make like a conversation out of it or whatever. And they started like talking to me and stuff, and then like I finally was like, "Yep, I am." And then I started crying again. So this all happened in like the span of like a few days. And then we were, I think, allowed to hang out again because this was November. We were allowed to hang out again, and like 2 weeks later, like it wasn't like we weren't allowed to see. No, we hung out like 2 weeks later. Um, and you know, me and him, we were dating, and then yeah, I went from a coming out story to like my whole relationship. Now we were dating till like February, and then I think we broke up in March. We broke up in March, but we're gonna backtrack a lot, y'all. So during the whole time, freshman year, I had this one class with the bully from middle school. Let's just name him, and we gotta come up with a name for him because he comes up a lot. Let's name him. Let's name him. I don't want to use like the first letter of his name, y'all. So we should probably name him. What's a basic? Jack. We'll just name him Jack. But this kid's name's not actually Jack. Okay, so we're gonna name him Jack. Jack used to just call me slurs, and be like, ew, walk past me, call me a slur. And he would just say all this stuff, and I started developing issues. Sorry, y'all, it kind of got loud. But I started developing issues with this. Like, I started not eating because, if you're getting bullied every day, you're gonna wanna, like, your mind's, your mind's occupied and you're just not gonna be hungry. You're gonna lose your appetite and you're just not gonna be like, ooh, food. So I kind of started developing an eating disorder because of the bullying. And, it was really hard because that whole freshman year, I was getting bullied and bullied and bullied, and no one in my family had any clue about it. I did go to a teacher once, and they literally told me there's nothing we can do about it. They didn't exactly say that, but they're like, well, the only way we can say something is if we tell your parents. And I wasn't out yet, so I was like, no, you're not doing that. Like, you're not telling my parents. And then that happened, and then, like, the whole my parents asked me if I was gay or whatever, and then it went back to because that happened over like Thanksgiving break, and then it was Christmas break right after. So like that kid didn't really bully me throughout that time, but then here comes January, and let's just say this kid, well Jack, he got worse and worse and worse and worse. So then, you know, I developed some other problems. I'm not gonna say them because I'm not trying to get my account taken down or anything. But, I started doing that. If y'all know, y'all know. But, it happens to a lot of people, I feel like. But I started doing that because I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not this, I'm not that, and I started doing some things that probably weren't the best for me. And then it came summertime, and I was like, oh, summer's here, yes. Like, oh, it's summertime. And summertime, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Freshman? No, that was my 8th grade year. Okay, we're going back. I keep going back and forth. I'm so sorry, y'all. But my 8th grade year, I literally stayed inside the whole summer. Okay, but now we're back at freshman year. I hung out with my best friend a lot during the summer, and we were just having a blast. And then it came school year again. Okay, and this sophomore year is the current year I'm in, so we're back to like present day, but just at the beginning of sophomore year. Oh yeah, I just told y'all. Okay, but yeah, I'm a sophomore. And then it was in, let's think, August, yes, is when we started school. we got our schedules, everything was good. And my second period class, speech class, Jack and his friend James were in this class. And there's also this kid, let's name him Luke. So there's Jack, James, and Luke. And they thought it'd be so funny if they bullied me the whole speech class. They would call me slurs, they'd be like, ew, they'd be like, they'd just say stuff. And I'm so sorry to this teacher, but I don't know if she heard this. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I'm trying so hard to not name drop and stuff, but I feel like she might have heard it sometimes, but the problems are still going on. And then I finally told my dad. He was like, Grace, is there something going on? I was like, yeah, I'm getting bullied. And he was like, oh my gosh, he was so sad about it. I was like, I know, I feel so bad. And he was like, when did it all start? And I had to explain to him that it all started this and this and this. And then he sent an email to the school. I got placed into therapy, which I feel like so many people are probably like, therapy, ew, you're so weak if you're in therapy. No, you're stronger if you're in therapy because you're literally dealing with your issues instead of being like, oop, therapy's for losers. So y'all can hop right off. But I feel like therapy is a really good source to help. And then he sent an email to the school, and then they didn't. Okay, I'm gonna. They really didn't do anything. Let's be honest. Well, they couldn't really do anything because I didn't say the names of the kids. Because why would I do that? Because then they get called into the office, and then it's just a whole big deal. And I'm not trying to do all that because why would I? Because I'm not trying to be like, no. I know I probably should have, but y'all don't understand. If you're gay and you send you say this person's bullying you and you name their name, they're not gonna stop. It's just gonna get worse because they're gonna be like, oh, you told them? Oh, okay, so you're gonna get bullied more now. It's not just gonna stop. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go tell the principal. The principal's gonna make you stop. No, they're just not gonna care. They're not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I should really stop. This is not okay. They know what they're doing is not okay. They're not just gonna stop. Okay, and then all that happened. And then, current present, this, I don't have that class anymore because it switched to English now. So now I'm in English, and I see this thing of, I see one of these kids. He's in both my classes. Luke. Luke is in my. Oh, actually, I don't want y'all to know. He's in two of my classes, and he thinks it's so funny to make comments. And I've told him off a few times, and he really doesn't bother me anymore. And then there's Jack. James kind of just James vanished. He's there, but he's not there. But then we have Jack. Jack still thinks it's funny to scoff at me in the hallway and be like, ew, and say all this and that. And it's just like, boy, I'm being my true self. You're being immature about it. And I just feel like that's a big problem is bullying. But I don't let it get to me most of the time because it's like, okay, I don't care. But yeah, that's kind of my coming out story. It's kind of a really confusing story because, but that's basically my coming out story. And I did lose a lot of friends and through coming out. And I did have a few friends that were like, oh my gosh, they're my friends. But low-key and deep down, they're actually bullying the crap out of me. And I had this one friend, her, I'm not gonna name her name, but she was so kind. And I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, friend. Yes. But little did I know, when she was around guys, she was bullying me. I was like, oh, that's not cute. You're not cute for that. That's weird. So, we stopped being friends. And, I feel like that happened a few times throughout middle school, not high school really, because now I have the people I know that I can talk to, which is maybe 3 people, 4 maybe. But yeah, you have those true friends and you have the ones that are just there. And, I feel like coming out is a really hard thing to do. And if y'all Um, y'all not really have any questions, but y'all are wondering. I don't really know what I'm saying, but y'all, thank you so much for all the support y'all bring me. And please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, turn on post notifications, and comment down below um anything. I see that every video. Comment down below anything, and if y'all have your own stories, y'all could put them in the description. Not description. Oh my gosh, y'all could put them in the comments if y'all feel like sharing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And y'all don't be fake. You have to subscribe. Don't be fake. Subscribe. It's not that hard. It's free. Subscribe. Like literally. This was kind of a long video, but y'all wanted it, so I gave it to you. And that's all. So love y'all, and I'll see you next week. Bye.